number 20B2735.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor. Daniel Best. Oh, excuse me. P58501 on behalf of Plaintiff Capital One Bank.
Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Sandy Grizz.
So it's up to you. You can have a seat at the table or you can stand there.
Okay, I'm fine.
How are the funds or property that they're attempting to garnish exempt? That's the box that you checked.
It was my Social Security. I have $50 deductions put into my savings account every month for my Social Security check. And that's what was in my savings account. That's the only income I have.
Okay, so it's Social Security income. Mr. Best, what would you like to say?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. And based on my discussions with defendant, it sounds like what occurs here is her Social Security is deposited into a checking account, which is then transferred, a portion of which is then transferred into a savings account. Under Michigan court rules, and if you note that the checking account has not been touched, as it has the the super exemption of Social Security. The problem is once it gets deposited into a savings account, it earns interest, it gets commingled, and the problem is that it loses that exemption of having the super priority or super exemption of Social Security. And it's our position that as a result of this is now savings, not Social Security, and is subject to garnishment.
How much was garnished?
About $1,300. Let me get to you the exact amount, Your Honor. I think it was $1,322.29.
What is the outstanding balance on this loan, counsel?
Hold on, it's about $6,732.01. My client does not charge interest, so that is the amount of the judgment.
So this was from your savings account, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
You transferred the money from your
Yes, sir.
Social Security into...
Yes, sir. This was all part of a consolidation that I had done, and this was the only account that they couldn't negotiate. And I talked to Crimson the very last time, and they had spoken with somebody from Capital One, and they had settled on a $475 a month payment. I believe I told them I could pay $50 a month, no more than $100 a month, but that wasn't acceptable. So they said that the least they could accept was the $472 or $75 a month. I don't have it. I just don't have it. And I told them that.
Wait a minute, slow down.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So you own that home?
No, sir, it's in reverse. It's my husband's home. It's a second marriage. It's in reverse mortgage.
So counsel, you guys filed a judgment lien on that house.
Yeah, for some reason, our research indicates that she has an interest in real estate. I don't know how that's showing. I don't.
Well, you better be careful with that, because if that's only in her husband's name, I don't know how you can file a judgment lien on that.
Can I explain something,
slow
Your
down.
Honor?
Let me finish.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't know how you can file a judgment lien on that home. You're not on the home.
The way a reverse mortgage works, I'm not on the home originally. If my husband should pass, then the reverse mortgage would come to me. But until then, it's strictly in his name. I don't really understand it at all. I'm like I don't know exactly how they said it, but it's like he's first. And then, like I said, if something were to happen to him, then I would be on the reverse mortgage. I would be able to live in the home until I decided to move or I passed.
But the bottom line is that the mortgagee has a security interest in the home.
Right, right.
And you could not sell that
Oh,
from
no.
underneath them without them getting their money.
No. We have no,
So, well, okay, I'm just cautioning the lawyer that he better make sure that the judgment lien, and that's a great question. I don't know how you can file a judgment lien against somebody that may not have a titled interest in the home, but maybe on the mortgage. I don't know. So, I mean, I think that you better look into that and clear this up. But nonetheless, let's talk about the issue at hand here. I can help you set up an installment payment order. I can do that. I wish you would have come to me earlier, because they might want 400 and whatever dollars you said per month, but they're not the judge. No disrespect. Mr. Best is a very good lawyer, and I have a lot of respect for him. He's a gentleman, but he doesn't always call all the shots either. So the bottom line is that I think that's true, that when Social Security money is commingled in another savings account, that it loses its protection. If the only thing you had going in there was Social Security funds into the checking account, and they garnished your checking account balance, I think it would be protected for sure by Social Security. But once you start to move it around and put it in a savings account, then I think it loses its protection.
that was the only deposit that I made. I have my bank statements here in the last.
Counsel, what is your position? So you think even if that account, you're not telling me you think that if that account only has Social Security funds that it loses its protection, are you? I think it would require me to have a hearing.
I'm saying that the maintenance of a savings account, and these are not, although some monies might have been deposited, and I think she said she had $50 per month being deposited. But the recency, I think the age of the funds in a savings account, I'm assuming it's interest bearing. And I think it's, and I can't think of the case involving the tax.
Well, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing. Are you telling me that the only thing that's in that savings account is Social Security funds?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, counsel. I honestly don't know the answer to that. I would agree with you 100% that if that was commingled with other funds, tax refunds, a pension, other wages that were earned, that it would be exempt, that it would not be exempt. But I'm not so sure if I have a hearing, and I think this would require me to have a hearing, that if Social Security funds are transferred simply from checking to savings, and the owner of the account, in this case, Ms. Grez, can show that the only funds in there were Social Security proceeds, then I think it still retains its exempt status. I could be wrong about that. If you disagree with me, I'll be more than happy to give you an opportunity to brief that. And I can adjourn this, but I think, and I'm not saying, I haven't heard testimony. I've just heard her tell me this from the podium. So you're certainly entitled to a hearing on this if you want one. But if
Your Honor,
you're going to ask me to find as a matter of law that once Social Security funds are transferred to another account, that they automatically lose their status irrespective of whether or not the other account is funded entirely from Social Security proceeds or otherwise, then I'm going to need you to brief that. So I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you understand what I'm telling him?
I think so.
I want to make sure.
That if I had any other funds going into that checking account along with my Social Security, then it would not be
It works
exempt.
two ways. You told me the only thing you had going into the checking account was Social Security funds. Is that true or false?
That's correct.
So if they had just garnished the checking account and it only had Social Security funds, then they would be exempt from garnishment. However, the issue arises when you take that money and you put it into another account, whether or not those Social Security funds retain their exempt status. I'm telling him that I'm trying to put this into words that will, as a layperson, allow you to understand it. But if there were other funds that went into that savings account besides Social Security, I would agree with him. If there were no other funds that went into that account other than Social Security, and I'm talking about in the savings account, then I don't know that transferring Social Security funds that are deposited solely Social Security funds that are deposited from a checking account into a savings account would cause those funds to lose their exempt status, particularly if the only thing that the savings account is being funded from is the Social Security proceeds that were deposited into your checking account. Now, if there were other funds in there, wages that were earned, anything else that had been saved, any gifts, then I think I agree with them.
Right.
But if you're telling me, Judge, I can prove that the only thing that went into my checking was Social Security funds, and the only thing I've transferred to the savings account was Social Security funds, and there's no other funds in there, no other money other than Social Security funds that have been transferred into it, then I'm telling him I want him to file a little motion or brief to tell me why that loses its exempt status. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are. But let me ask you this, Your Honor. During the pandemic, I did claim unemployment. And I did have that direct deposited into my account. Of course, that was part of my living because I had no job. So I used that for living expenses. My Social Security was strictly, I want to explain this. The funds that I received from unemployment were used. I mean, I didn't stash them anywhere or put them into my savings account. They were used for house repair, things like that we couldn't afford. From the time that my my unemployment stopped, the only thing going into my checking account was my Social Security check. And that's where the $50 was taken to put into the savings account.
Have you deposited $1,300 into that account?
I had.
Listen to my question.
I'm sorry.
Over what the course of would be the last 26 months, the last 2.5 years?
Yes, something like that. My unemployment stopped. I believe it was September the 27th of 2000. I think I'm not 100% sure.
So, counsel, what is your position now?
Your Honor, she indicated to me that there'd been funds in this account, in the savings account, as old as 5 years. I personally would just ask the court to rule. I don't think the amount being held warrants an adjournment. I do believe Ms. Grez. She appears to be very credible and honest. But I think the problem.
Raise your right hand. Wait a minute, 1 second. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you will give in these proceedings will be the whole true self you got.
Absolutely.
Can you tell
yes.
me unequivocally, but you can put your hand down, the $1,300, is that how much was in there, $1,300?
Yes, sir. That's what was in there.
Is that even, $1,300?
I believe it was.
Can you tell me unequivocally that go ahead, I'm sorry, Mr. Best.
Yeah, I apologize, Your Honor, but the disclosure indicated it's $1,322.29.
Oh, okay.
All right, can you tell me unequivocally, but that is all proceeds from Social Security?
Absolutely.
All right, counsel, I'm going to make this easy. I'm gonna find, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it, obviously. I'm gonna find that the objections are valid. The garnishee shall immediately release all withheld funds to the defendant. The writ of garnishment is released. Now we're gonna set up a payment plan.
Okay.
Can you hand me an installment order? Jennifer, can you print out an installment payment order down here? Now, you're still under oath. I want to ask you some questions.
Sure.
What sources of income do you have?
Social Security.
How much?
As of now, it's $946 a month.
You're getting a raise, right?
I suppose I haven't seen the paperwork yet, but I'm told I
I
am.
need just an order. Jennifer,
Judge, I'm trying to find one, but I don't think I can print it directly to the courtroom, so I'll have to have someone bring it down.
okay, please do. Yeah, I have some, okay. How much can you afford realistically to pay per month?
Realistically, nothing, but I will try at $50 a month if I can do that. If I get the raise from Social Security, then I think I can afford the $50 a month.
Do you have any questions of her, Mr. Best?
No, and I have no objection to that amount either, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to order that the garnishee immediately release all withheld funds to the defendant. The writ of garnishment is released. I've signed that order on objections to garnishment. Let me just make a note here. Then I'm going to prepare installment payment order. What day do you receive your Social Security, ma'am?
The fourth Wednesday of the month.
All right, I'm just going to say defendant to pay $50 per month beginning January 28th.
Okay.
And the 28th of every month thereafter until paid in full. Now, I'm also going to say this order is subject to review on motion of either party on or after May 1 of 23. Okay?
That's fine. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The amount that I turned over to Crimson for the consolidation was $5,000. But if I understood correctly, Mr. Best said there was no interest incurred on that amount during this period of time.
The amount of the judgment is
67 something, isn't it?
673201.
I just wondered how it got up to that amount from the $5,000.
Yeah. When I'm saying no interest,
that was the.
Oh,
that he's saying there's no interest. They're not collecting interest post judgment. That was the amount of the judgment that I entered.
Okay.
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 So, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And counsel, you want those payments sent to your office?
please. And make sure you've got the 3155 West Big Beaver. We did just move in September. I see
Who are
she
they to
has
make
it
the-
correct on the objections.
And are we going to have that made payable to who?
Have her make them payable to Capital One.
So, ma'am, you are going to you're going to make the payments out to Capital One. You are going to put the case number on the memo portion, case number, and you're going to mail them to plaintiff's attorney's office.
Okay.
Okay?
Well,
Now, I want to make sure that you get a copy of this before you leave. So let me
Okay.
just finish this. And then you're gonna walk out of here with two orders. One that the order on objections to garnishment, and the other one is the order regarding installment payments.
Okay, and the address and everything will be on that order of
I'll
installment.
put it on here.
Okay, thank you.
Give me 1 second.
Your Honor, may I speak to the defendant?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just trying to write everything in. You go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Grez, the firm does offer a check by phone service. It's free of charge. If you want to take advantage of that, you just call our general line. You choose the option that you're a defendant in a lawsuit, and then you can do a check by phone. And again, there's
Oh,
no-
that'll be fine then. There's no like direct deposit that I can use or anything like that I can,
you
I
could,
mean, I could make automatic payment. I'm sorry.
Here you go.
I believe you can set up. I believe now with the change in the regulations that you could set up every single payment to be automatically done in that one phone call.
So I'm
All
gonna
right,
ask
that's
you to
right.
call his office if you have any questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna go on to another case. I have all these papers filled out. Jennifer, give her a copy of the order on objections to garnishment as well as the order regarding installment payments, okay?
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you so very much. Stay safe
You
and have
too.
very
Merry
safe
Christmas.
holidays.
Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you.
Happy holidays.